to turn things around and unlock opportunity and mobility. For those of you not familiar with Burning Glass, by the way, our work is in tracking the landscape of opportunity. It's something that we do from a big data lens of capturing millions of job openings every day, and by studying hundreds of millions of people's career histories each year, and creating our own language of skills. And skills are really very interesting because in some ways the distance between people and opportunities is skills. The distance between jobs is skills, and the dynamism of the market is skills. If we were having this conversation about a year ago, we would have been talking about the skill gap. We're now in a market where there's tens of millions of people who have been displaced from work, and so it seems like an unnatural conversation to have. But in fact, the skill gap is as much a dominant feature of what we're seeing in the data as it has ever been. And that comes with it both challenges and again, opportunities. Why can there be a skill gap alongside a market with so much displacement? Well, it's quite simple. In some ways, there's always been not a single skills gap. There's been a bunch of different skills, and they each have their own kind of market dynamics. There's some work that we did for the U.S. Chamber while the market was red hot. And even then, you saw at the same time that there were some sets of talent where there was 50% more demand than supply and people to do those jobs. There were also plenty of jobs where there was more talent than opportunity. And so, put a different way, if you're looking for, having 1 million displaced wait staff won't help you fill a single cybersecurity job. And a lot of what we're seeing is as employers are letting people go, and even as now they're starting to hire back, they aren't necessarily going to hire back the same people they let go. They hire for the future skills that they're going to need. And so now you're seeing those were always the skills that were already hard to fill, and now they get harder because everyone's doubling down looking for the same ones. There's some work from David, didn't see whether he's on the call today, but one of the things he's found in our data is a very high rate of skill change. And I think that's sort of like the big story about the future of work is not so much that there's the breathless headlines that we all see that, by 2030, 70% of us are going to be working in jobs that don't exist yet, or that kind of, exaggeration that kind of tends to get promoted. The reality is the data don't support that. But what the data do tell us is that jobs that have always existed and will continue to exist are increasingly different. And when you sort of think about some jobs being 40% of the skills changing in the space of a decade, and then think, do training curricula change 40% in the span of a decade? Do college, community college curricula or the like change 40% a decade? And of course they don't. Now, and by the way, even in spaces where one of the things that makes this even sort of harder to adapt to is that it's not a constant pace of change. It's not a uniform pace of change. Here's the world of tech jobs, which are all moving very fast, and a set of models around what we call intersimilarity, how much if you compare jobs to themselves over time, how much they change. You can see over the span of tech and data jobs, there's some jobs like clinical data managers where there's a huge pace of change, and others which are changing much more slowly. And so being able to track that and help people adjust to that is itself important. If you look at, for example, as clinical data managers, really interesting to see what's changing, why, you would think that some of these other ones in here that are more technical would be where the fastest, but what you're actually seeing here is not just that the tech stacks are changing, but it's something else.